Stresa, nestled on the shores of the Grand Lake Maggiore, we've come to this beautiful, picturesque location to drive Maserati's latest offering, the GranCabrio. With those Alps casting that majestic shadow, that beautiful silhouette, the lake adding to the drama, reflecting the sky like a bright mirror, it's hard not to feel the romanticism of Italy in every nook and corner of this car, every curve, every line, from the head to the toe, everything inside the cabin. It's like a grand tour of Italian flair. After all, it is a cabriolet based on one of the best Grand Tourers that you can buy from Italy. There is, however, one small problem. You see, this is like a finely brewed Italian coffee, rich, robust, ready to invigorate your senses. But the Italians, they take their coffee very seriously. They love the espresso. Whereas this car, should you go grand touring with it, expects the Italians to have Americanos on the way. And that can attract a lot of ire. Because you see, it has the badge Folgore right on the Maserati grills. What Folgore means in Italian is lightning. And that refers to an electric powertrain. Yes, it's an electric. So if you were to do the quintessential grand touring, go from Italy to France, you can't have that one fuel stop strategy where you stop for 10 minutes, refuel, grab an espresso. It's going to take longer. It's going to need an Americano. And what's going to infuriate the Italians further is that there are no tailpipes. A Maserati Grand Tourer without exhaust pipes. Now that's a problem, isn't it? Which is why Maserati is offering both kinds of variants on the new GranCabrio. You can choose a petrol engine with the Modena or the Trofeo, or if you want to go green, you can get the electric. So the way I look at it, this is not for Italy. This is probably for the rest of the world.
It is also for those who want the beautiful form of a Maserati but want to make a green statement. Being a petrol head, I had a go at the V6 powered Trofeo before driving the Folgore. And it's every bit a Maserati as you would expect, and then some. It's quite techy with its pre-combustion and cylinder deactivation functions. It has over 500 horsepower, hitting the ton before you can finish breathing, and adding plenty of oral drama to let the whole neighborhood know that you are in the vicinity. But the Trofeo's performance is not in the same vicinity as the Folgore's. And that advantage, or the sad truth depending on which side of the fence you are on, is what an EV sports car brings to the table. The Folgore delivers 750 PS, accelerating from 0 to 100 in under 3 seconds. It emits faint motor noises, but its classic Maserati design grabs attention. Except for the missing tailpipes, it mirrors the petrol counterpart with a functional grille, the 3D Maserati logo, front air intakes, rear diffusers, and similar ride height and ground clearance.
Like the Gran Turismo, even the GranCabrio doesn't let go of that Italian charm. From head to toe, it looks every bit Italian. They have managed to maintain the proportions, including the height of the car, absolutely perfect. So even though there are batteries in this car, it's not high riding. Of course, when you talk about the aerodynamics, the slippery nature of cars like these, 0.26, that coefficient of drag, you may argue that there are electric SUVs that manage better, which are high riding and all of that. So how can a sports car like this do just 0.26? Well, it's the proportions. Going any lower or trying to make the front end overly sharp, that probably wouldn't work to the effect of making the car look the way it does right now. So what they've done is given us the classic silhouette that we love with a Maserati, and at the same time managed to give it the aerodynamic efficiency that is required for an electric powertrain. The cabin is like Da Vinci meets Silicon Valley. So you still get that Italian flair even in the cabin. All the materials, absolutely top-notch. And the way everything is laid out, it has simplicity and yet a lot of luxury to it. And then you have the mix of all the digital aids, the digital stuff, the gadgetry, all of that. So you get a big digital instrumentation, you get a proportionately sized infotainment as well. You also get a touchscreen for your HVAC controls. What I do not like, however, is switches for the drive selection, and the classic Maserati clock is now replaced with a digital display, which in this case also tells you the state of charge for the batteries. But overall, it still feels every bit Maserati, including the materials. They are doing some new materials in here, but none of it feels like a compromise. Everything feels absolutely luxurious.
Speaking of the materials, the cabin is upholstered from nylon, recycled from fishing nets, and while it does not feel the same as leather, it has a unique, soft touch to it that does feel expensive. But apart from feeling rich, Maseratis need to be fast, and boy, does this go! Folgore rockets off the line like a scalded cat, bringing a grin rivaled only by an Italian chef's satisfaction after making the perfect tiramisu. All the Folgore models feature electric all-wheel drive, ensuring that every horse is used effectively. The Gran Turismo and Cabrio have a single motor at the front and two at the rear. Although capable of producing over 1200 PS combined, the battery pack limits it to 750 PS of usable, continuous power for sanity's sake. No matter how fast an EV can go, its weight becomes apparent on tight switchbacks, putting extra pressure on the outer wheels and the suspension. The Folgore's air suspension has a significant load too, but since the petrol and the electric versions of the Gran Turismo and GranCabrio, practically 4 cars, were developed together, engineers designed the engine compartment and the transmission tunnel to fit either an engine and drivetrain or a battery pack.
Now, usually electric vehicles, the batteries are in the floor, right? It's a skateboard architecture. You may have heard me say that often. What that essentially means is that the entire floorboard is technically the battery pack, and then you have the motors at either ends or a single motor setup, whatever it may be. Now, what Maserati have cleverly done is they've gone with a T-bone battery setup. What that means is, think of the battery layout to be like a T, but with serifs. What that means is, behind the firewall is 4 layers of battery. Then you have batteries in the transmission tunnel that you have on, say, the ICE vehicle, right? So the transmission tunnel is housing further batteries, and then behind the rear seats also, or under the rear seats, is where there are furthermore batteries.
This design allows the Folgore to maintain a low ride height like its petrol counterparts, while preserving the 4-seater layout and the weight distribution. In fact, it achieves better mass centralization by positioning the heavy batteries like a spine, enhancing control and rotation around the bends.
So yes, there is all-wheel drive. That means that it doesn't lose grip all that often, but it also makes sure that it continues to make you smile. It is a driver's car at the end of the day, not something that is used for maximizing range and all of that. Yes, it's a Grand Tourer. The numbers aren't big in terms of the range, but you want to enjoy. Even if it's an EV, you want to enjoy it, right?
Further enhancing its performance is the Vehicle Domain Control Module, developed by Maserati using its Formula E learnings. The VDCM intelligently balances power between the front and the rear motors to mask weight and manage weight transfer, excelling in Corsa mode to maximize acceleration and cornering with minimal traction control intervention. Even corner exits are super quick. The Corsa mode also offers a drift option, which we couldn't put to the test.
Just imagine doing this in the Western Ghats. Just imagine going down the coastal routes with the top down. I know there are very few months in the year that will allow it, but doing it in a Maserati, that would be special. That will feel so nice. I hope we get that chance back home in India.
At slow speeds, the car can be raised by 25mm to handle speed bumps or rough roads, like a racehorse tiptoeing through a muddy paddock. Utterly brilliant, especially for our roads.
The ride quality on this thing is absolutely brilliant. I mean, EVs, they usually feel so heavy in the belly, right? They, over potholes or over broken surfaces, ruts, etc., they feel like they have that heavy bottom and they're just, sort of sinking into those undulations. There, I just went through a pothole, nothing, you can't even hear any thudding. Of course, the suspension does have a firm edge. It's a sports car at the end of the day, so it is supposed to feel like that. It is going to feel like that. Even in the comfort or the GT modes, it does have that firm edge. But I'm pretty impressed with the ride quality. Now, how it behaves back home in India, that remains to be seen. But from whatever I can see right now, I'm quite impressed.
The Folgore uses the same staggered tire sizes as the petrol variant, but opts for low-resistance Pirelli P0 Elect tires, providing excellent grip on the GranCabrio, similar to the new Taycan. Tire noise is minimal, even with the roof down, as the synthesized sonic sound of the EV masks it effectively. The brake feel is natural too.
And when I say natural, I mean from a sports car perspective. So, sometimes it's the front motor that is giving you the braking, sometimes it's the rear motor, sometimes it's a combination of both along with your physical brakes, and you simply cannot tell the difference. You simply cannot tell where the transition or the handover points are. And that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. So you will drive this like a normal sports car. I know it sounds cliched when we talk about EVs and always keep complaining about the oral drama, but come on, in my peripheral vision is that Trident. This car is handling and driving the way it is, doing justice to that Trident, doing justice to the badge on the hood. From that perspective, yes, I want that oral drama. But at the same time, enjoying this open top experience, getting these kind of driving dynamics, oh my God. Yeah, that oral drama would have been nice. That Italian symphony, I want that. But, what I'm really impressed is that there is a connection between me and the car right now, even though it's an electric. And, this is the first time I'm driving an Italian electric of any kind. This is the first time I'm driving a drop top, a convertible with an electric powertrain. And, well, the first time has been special. I really like it. Yes, I have gone on record and said that I hope EVs are not the future. I hope e-fuel takes over. I still maintain my stance. But looking at the different generations, the different cars that we've seen in the EV space now, I really like where it's headed. So yes, there are certain EVs that are enjoyable, and you can definitely trust the Italians to make it fun. Lots and lots of fun. Wow, impressed. Now yes, Grand Touring, probably we don't relate to it back home in India the way the Europeans do to this concept, right? But from an Indian standpoint, I think this car has a lot going for it. It looks great, 2 doors, convertible, guilt-free driving, if you will, with the green powertrain. And then it's a Maserati at the end of the day. So even if it may lack that oral drama, it's still a Maserati. You look at the shape, you look at the design, you look at the silhouette, and it's something special, even if it's electric. So I think there's a lot going for it.
It may not become a collector's item or a Maserati icon, but as a die-hard petrol head, I hate to admit that the Folgore actually drives better than the Trofeo. Yes, you heard that right. Better. This car has proven that at least for Maserati, electrification doesn't mean the end of passion, soul, and the indefinable magic that makes driving their cars an experience to cherish. The Folgore could be the dawn of a new era for the brand, because if its performance is an indication, Maserati's lightning bolt has struck.